talking about death. And now I am in tune with it. Because either you think about it or you do not think about it. You have a date. You're going.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Now, question is when?
When? That's the only question.
And this
yes.
applies to your partner.
Yes. Yes.
So just close your eyes and say, I woke up today and my partner was no longer there. What do I have in place?
Hello, welcome. This is the LHC podcast, a podcast inspiring elevated living. My name is Emmanuel, and I have with me my co-host Lola. Hi, Lola.
Hi, Emmanuel. How is it
Hey,
going?
man, very well, cool, fantastic. What do you have for us today?
As always, good stuff. Good stuff. We have good stuff.
Okay.
And today is no exception. We have an exceptional guest.
Yeah, you can say that again.
I can see the anticipation on your face already. So, who do we
Sure.
have with us today? She's a multifaceted personality. She is a filmmaker. She's an actor. She's a social worker. She's also a professional mom and grandmom.
That's interesting.
In fact, not just a filmmaker, she's a US-based filmmaker. So she has international exposure. And she's here to share with us some very wonderful insights on what we're talking about today. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Tola Thomas.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. And one more thing too. She's someone I look up to personally because she's my big sister.
Thank you.
All right. So we're here to talk about grief and loss. That's what we're touching on today. And we're going to do some deep dives. We're going to talk to Tola about her experiences, about what grief and loss means to her personally, and also talk about what that journey has brought forth. So let's take it to the very, very beginning. How did this come about, the whole journey of grief and loss in your life, and what really was the backstory behind it?
Okay. So basically, I was married for 33 years to my very loving husband, who was so wonderful, amazing. Any quality you want to put for a good human being, he had it. And not just me saying it, but, everybody attested to the kind of person he was. Everything was fine. We lived in the U.S. With our kids, 4 kids, and on this fateful day, I thought he had a cold. And overnight, he had a lot of symptoms of cold, coughing, having difficulty breathing. And so, you know how men are. It took me forever to grab him to go to the emergency room. Eventually, we got there, and just like that, things started rolling. And from coming into the emergency room, you suddenly find the love of your life struggling with his life. And the next thing, he went into a cardiac arrest. And just like that, right in front of me and the kids, he took his last breath. And I was plunged into this new reality, which I could never have imagined in my entire life.
That's quite a thing to experience.
I know.
So how did what aspects of grief, and because before then obviously we'd lost family members before then, but this one
Right.
hit very, very close to home. So
Yes.
how did it change your perception of what grief and loss mean? How did this event shape what you experienced next?
So basically, my entire life as I knew it came to a halt. It was just like having a whole dog under the floor, and then you just find yourself falling in an endless pit. It also happened to be the time that there was COVID, so of course movement was restricted. There weren't people coming around to support you in your grief. So basically, you had to just go through it on your own. And when I say on my own, literally with my kids. My 4 kids were broken. They needed me to be a strength for them, but I was not able to even breathe. I had experienced grief before with the loss of my dad, and I thought that was the worst thing that could happen to anyone. But I can attest to the fact that the loss of your spouse holds a different level of grief and pain. So this is somebody that we talk all the time. And I mean all the time. Even though sometimes he'll be back here in Nigeria, and even though he's in Nigeria, he'll talk to me. Let's say between both of us, each day we spend about an average of 8 hours on the phone.
Oh, fun. Wow.
It was so intense that my mom used to wonder, what do you people talk about all the time? So can you then imagine that kind of interaction turn into a deathly silence, like
That's
nothing, from talking and talking and talking to no communication, just constant pain, grief, the uncertainty of life. Where am I going to go from here? How do I take care of these kids? How do I breathe? I didn't know how to do so many things, you know. He trained me in a lot of ways, you know, and I didn't know he was training me. I was lucky because he put me in the know for most things in terms of his finances, what he had, how to manage things, how to run his businesses. And originally, I thought they were just ways of getting me to do more as a woman. I figured my job was to take care of the kids and the house, not to run the business. So here I was with no support, no physical support, no emotional support, no support. So it felt like you being alone. It was horrible. It was intense.
So sorry to hear this.
Yes.
yeah.
How were you able to first? It was a shock,
Yes.
and then how were you able to come to terms with these at the end of the day and begin to pick yourself up bit by bit?
So I would say the first, let's say the first 2-3 weeks was, I don't even know what happened. I can't recall every day. I cannot. I just knew that I wasn't sleeping. My oldest daughter took charge of the house. I became the baby. I couldn't make decisions. And so, you know, then the first thing you're faced with is the funeral. So from losing somebody, now you have to make decisions about, where do you bury them? What casket? What color of jacket? What do they wear? So every day you are constantly faced with the pain and the reality that you have to answer these questions. They have to be done.
Yeah.
So the funeral was done very fast. I think it was about 2 weeks after. And then it was then a question of how long before you break down. I started having medical issues because I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. My blood pressure went through the roof.
Yeah, sure.
I ended up in the hospital, came back home, and then my kids were crying, Mom, we don't want to lose you. And then you begin to think, you know. So eventually, I would say the first step towards understanding what grief was for me was listening to Joel Austin's podcasts.
Okay.
For some serious reason, it would seem as if when I turned on his podcast every morning, he'll be talking about something that had to do with me.
Okay.
The pain, the need to, you know, pick up yourself and to understand that whatever has happened. You cannot change anything.
Yeah.
So this was just profound. I went from the level of being angry at God,
Okay.
like, if it wasn't broken, why are you taking this man from me? Then you get to the level of, how do I become the dad and the mom for these kids? And the worst part was that we were planning my first daughter's wedding when this happened. So then I had to start making decisions. Do I cancel all the plans? I knew that he would never want me to do that. So I started distracting myself with that, mostly prayers. So for the first 3 weeks, I could not pray. I was mad. And I was just like, why am I praying to him? I prayed to save him. You didn't listen to me then. Why are you going to listen now? So finally, one of the days when I was so frustrated, I sat in my room and this gospel music by this lady called Tope Alabi was playing.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, this song, I'd never heard it. Funny enough, I'd never heard the track before, something about Ibatsi Moro. So I laid on my bed and I started hearing the lyrics.
Okay.
And I just burst in tears. And I screamed and I screamed and I screamed. And eventually I started singing the song and I just realized, there's nothing I can change. And that was it. And every day I began to help myself. It's 4 years now. Actually, it turned 4 years in February. And I can tell you I've moved from a lot of levels. I had to start talking to my kids also. I never wanted them to see me that weak anymore. I didn't want them to. So most days somebody's crying upstairs. The other one comes, Ma, this one is crying. I go there. Why would they take my dad? And then you deal with that one. The next one is crying downstairs. And, finally I had to sit them down and explain to them that, grief is part of life. And, we just have to move. Let's just find a way. So it was gradual. Every day I made special effort to just try and breathe. And I remember my kids would sometimes see me sitting down at the dining table looking like I was about to give up, and they would be like, Dad won't want you to be like this, Mom, you need to be strong. So this is how we started the process bit by bit. It's still a journey, I'll tell you. 4 years in, there's still those days that you just don't understand it, but I'm grateful that I'm able to go to his graveside every month.
Wow.
I try to go once every month. I take the flowers there, and I'm always speechless. Absolutely nothing to say. The only thing on my mind is I wish you would be back. And so that's how I began to pick the pieces. It is a tough choice. You have to decide to make that choice. The day Joel Austin said on one of his podcasts that regardless of how you feel or how long you grieve, they will never come back.
Okay.
Never. You would never see that person again. So the earlier you pick up the pieces and keep moving, the better for you. And that's when I realized I had to start living again.
So, wow, that must have been quite a lot to deal with. And I'm sure your perception of life and love and relationships in general must have changed significantly since this event. So are there some specific aspects you could share in terms of the changes that it brought about, your outlook to life, and even your life as it were after that event?
The first thing I would like to say is that the first thing you realize is there ain't no friends out there.
Wow. Wow.
I don't care what people say to you when you are alive. Once you're gone, you begin to see people for who they really are.
Oh, wow.
And this also includes family, in-laws, friends. I saw so much, I could not believe it. The people that I thought would be there for me were just the same people who were not there for me. So immediately I realized that, nobody's going to help you or, solve your problems. I began to stop fooling myself. So the first thing I'd love people to learn about grief of this sort is have a plan.
Okay.
I mean, even though my husband trained me, he would always have something to say about why you should do this and that. So, for instance, I would come to Nigeria on vacation, and I'm thinking we're just going to have a good time all through.
Okay.
And it could be the next morning he's waking me up, oh, yeah, we got to go to the site. And I'm like, why? Why do I have to go? Like, I'm on vacation. He'd be like,
be a holiday.
well, I'm sorry, I need you to know where the property is. I need the staffs there to know you. I need everybody to know that you are me, where in any situation. And I would grumble and, literally drag myself to go to those places.
Okay.
So when he passed, I then realized the importance of what he had done. Because I didn't have to tell he had multiple tenants, he had properties, things. I didn't have to do too much. Everybody reached out to me to commensurate with me, and then the next thing they would say is, where do we pay the rents? What's the new account number? Because they already knew me. So I didn't have to write letters trying to say change of ownership, change of management, nothing. So that's one thing I learned. And, it will be nice for couples to open up to each other because nobody knows who's going to go first. Nobody knows what's going to happen. but you would hate to find out that your things fell in the wrong hands.
Sure.
So most people don't like to talk about writing a will.
Right. It's almost like a taboo
Yes.
topic.
But it's a very important thing to do. And if you don't want to do the will, you could do a video recording of yourself saying what you need people to do
Sure.
behind your back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
Okay.
coincidentally, my husband had something like that,
Oh.
Wow.
which he had done like maybe 8 years prior to his death.
Wow.
I remember he had come one day and gave me this little cassette. And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's a very valuable thing. I need you to keep it. It's very important to your life. I'm like, my life? All right, so I threw it on the dresser. And then it's like, I just gave you something valuable. And you just threw it on the dresser. So I said, what am I supposed to do with it? He said, keep it. It is valued. Okay, so I called my oldest daughter and I said, Dad wants us to keep this. It's valuable. I was still joking in my usual sense.
Sure.
And I said, give me an idea where we could hide this. And then she said, Mom, we could tape it behind the dresser. So she brought out the drawer and taped it behind the dresser. Remember, 8 years before his death. So after he passed, most times I'm always staring in the wall and just lying down there. And something would seem as if I get a nudge. What about the tape I gave to you? Then I'm thinking, what tape? So I couldn't remember. So I called my daughter and I said, did Dad give us a tape one time ago? And she's like, yeah, remember the one I put in the back of the dresser? And so we went and took it out because it's, a miniature kind of thing. You have to take it to people to turn into a flash drive. So they made it into a flash drive. We got it and put it in the computer. And lo and behold, he was there talking about, if you're watching this, then that means I'm dead.
Wow.
And then he started talking.
Wow.
So, this is what I want for my wife. This is what I want for my kids. Family, back off. I don't want anybody to contest anything, stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
And I thought I would never need it. But
Turns
trust
out-
me, it turned out I needed it eventually.
Wow.
I'll leave that at that.
Wow.
Maybe there's someone out there who needs to understand, who needs to learn that this relationship wasn't just built in a day.
Right.
Yeah. What was the process, the nurturing that blossomed to what it then became at the end of the day for you?
So I would say it started for us from day one. We were just, Bonnie and Clyde? we were just friends. We were very close friends. And even everybody would say, oh, you two are just together in every way. Once there's that trust that this person will give their life for me, and I would think you should marry somebody who could lay their life down for you.
Right.
Don't marry a man that wouldn't do that for you or a woman that would not do that for you. If you have that doubt that they won't be able to help you when you're down and unable to speak, you have no business being with them.
Well,
Exactly.
So when that is
That's the
done,
word.
when that's done, then the second thing is the kids you have together, you must value them to the point that whatever plans you have for them must continue regardless of your absence. So if you want your kids to remain in a certain level of life,
yeah.
you have to make provisions for that to continue to happen. So if you don't trust your partner, why are you with them?
Exactly.
So of course, there was the multiple episodes of people trying to interfere. And it's usually when families want to get in the middle of both of you. You have to create a wall, a barrier, where it's us against them, regardless of if they're your parents, your cousins, your family.
Exactly.
This is my partner. This is who I have chosen to live with, to spend the rest of my life with, to have my kids with. So whatever I own belongs to him. Whatever he owns belongs to me. The moment you are able to do that, then you are able to solidify the relationship to that point. But when you have a spouse that you beat the woman up every now and then, I'm being serious.
Yes.
There's no way she can love you unconditionally.
Nope.
Because then there's that little gap where she sees you as an abuser. somebody who creates pain and hurt in their life. So it doesn't have to be that they beat you up all the time. It could just be emotional abuse or, just being unavailable. I don't care what my husband was doing. All he needed to see was my name on the phone. He would pick it up. And I don't care what I'm doing. If I see him calling, I'm dropping everything and I'm picking up his call. So couples need to understand it's about us. But if you don't have that relationship where both of you trust each other to the point that you can lay your life down, I keep repeating it, then it's just unfortunate. You can't have that kind of solid relationship. We were married for 33 and a half years. And I listen to people tell me all the time, you guys were couples goals. Oh my God, that was a good man. They tell me that. And I'm like, you think I didn't know that? Of course I knew that,
Yeah.
I always knew what would make him happy. And I would strive to do it. And he would always strive to do what makes me happy. And it doesn't mean that it has to be money. When we first met, we had an apartment without any couch in it.
Okay.
And I remember we used to fight to sit on the staircase, the first level.
Oh, wow.
Because the rest was just carpeting and pillows. So we built ourselves up from the scratch. Nobody was there then. Why are you going to come in now and tell us how to live our lives? Wow. So the man must always protect his wife. That was one thing he did for me. Family, wife. Whenever there's somebody trying to overreach, he will bounce them back and stay in the middle. Yeah. Leave my wife out of it. Yeah, of course, they're going to call you all kinds of names.
Of course, oh, yes.
Oh, he's a weakling, he's whipped, he's all that.
Simp.
You understand?
They say this.
But you have to protect your family. Now, if a woman sees you protecting her like that, she will give everything to remain in that relationship.
Absolutely.
And stay faithful and loyal to you.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying everybody will be the same or all men will be the same, but, that's what worked for us. We were able to understand each other and, live our lives knowing that there was never a point that we wanted to separate from each other. I never thought about divorce and all that. We could fight, we'll scream at each other, but it's never to come to an end. That's from day one. We always say to each other, we fight not because we want to be apart for life. We fight so that we can understand each other. And we would always not go to bed without ironing things out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. At the beginning, he was one of those people that likes to keep malice. I didn't know how to do that.
Okay.
And so we could fight, and then I'm like, I'm not going to talk to you either, right? And then I go out, I come back, I see him, and I want to tell him, do you know what happened? Outside, I start talking, and then I see his attitude, and then I realize, we're not in a good place. Okay. And he'll start laughing. You don't even know how to do the game. You're supposed to not talk to me and all that, So just bring joy and fun and, be honest with each other. And that's what helped us through the journey, all our lives. Everybody knew we go to a party. He doesn't like staying in a party for too long. I love parties. I learned to work with him, especially when it's his family. Because he told me, I don't care how much you think you know my family. I knew them for 3 years before you met them. So if I tell you we're not spending more than 20 minutes in that gathering, you better listen to me. And I learned to listen to him. We had our code. He may be sitting here, I'm sitting over there. They're just going to notice we left. And they don't know how, when, how.
Signals.
Yeah. We have our 10-minute signals, we have our 5-minute signals, and we're gone. So you just have to think, understand each other. Remember, you're together in this. You're building a life, and you want your kids to enjoy that life. You want to demonstrate to them what life should be all about. So that's how we started, and that's what really pushed us all through, propelled us all through our entire 33 years of being together. Wow. It did, yes.
This is really deep.
Yeah, it is.
And this is really a masterclass on how to do marriage, because we hear it all the time. But some of these things you've said listening to you, I could understand why people struggle with all these things: the transparency, the communication, the synergy, even the friendship.
Yeah,
These
no
are things
passwords
that-
on phones. For what?
Yes.
Sure.
I should be able to read
Wow.
your phone, and you should be
Wow.
able to read mine.
Exactly.
We didn't have
without
any.
guilt.
We didn't have anything that the other one didn't know anything
anything
about.
about.
So
See,
the sudden death, then it made it easier for me to know what he had, and I knew where to go. I knew how to
See?
approach, and majority of the things his family did not know, I knew.
wow.
So
Which is what a partner is, right?
Yes.
The first point of contact.
yes, at the beginning it might be rough as young couples.
Couple,
You have your continued anger with each other, but just always remember we're not separating ever.
No.
We don't fight to become enemies.
Enemies.
We fight to understand each other.
And that's a good place to base in marriage on.
Yes.
No matter how long the marriage is, it's
Yes.
always important to maintain that. So your particular journey now led you in an unexpected direction.
Yes.
Could you share a bit more about how your major project came out of this very sad experience?
So I suddenly realized that there was no manual on
Okay.
how to grieve the loss of your husband.
Yeah.
There was nothing to consult about. How do I navigate being the only parent for these kids? How do I? There was nothing out there. So I started documenting my own struggles and started, finding out ways that I could resolve these issues. I'm going to go back to the fact that couples need to have a plan. Having a plan doesn't mean we're planning to die.
Of course.
We're just saying, what if?
Getting ready.
Yeah.
What if? Okay.
People
okay.
die every day.
What if?
Young people die, old people die. Why are we fooling ourselves?
Exactly.
Let's just have a plan. Number two, I believe we should empower each other. Yeah, I want my wife to be a housewife. You just created a beautiful recipe for disaster.
Wow.
Because when you're not there, she doesn't know how to make money. She doesn't know how to run the home. She doesn't know how to take care of the kids. You take care of everything. Oh, light bulb is burned. It's the man. We want to buy this. Dad, we need money. Babe, I need money. Money. You didn't teach her how to make money. She has only learned how to spend money. And here you are.
Whoa.
Well, we're married now. I need you to drop your degree on the back shelf and be a stay-at-home mom.
What local parlance call Oga wife, Oga's wife.
So why not empower her in other ways to make money?
Yes.
Even though she can still be. I was a stay-at-home mom. You know that.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
For
For quite
all-
a while.
For I don't even know how long I was a stay-at-home mom, but I had a business. I had a shop. I had a boutique. So I still had something that was giving me money, and I'd learned how to make money and double it and improve and stuff. I did that for a long time. But when I moved to the U.S., I decided, here, let me get my degree out and start working.
See.
So when he passed, that gaping hole wasn't there because I already had a source of income also. Regardless of whatever he had, I am used to making money. I know how to go out there and struggle and understand. So it was just a question of knowing how to pay the bills, pay the mortgage,
See.
and manage whatever you've learned from him and how life has presented to you. Don't just lay down there and leave all the responsibility for one person.
One person.
Because all it
exactly.
takes is just that thing happening, and then you become poor. You can't pay your rent. The landlord kicks you out. The kids, who this guy has worked so hard for, become homeless.
Yes.
And everything goes from
Exactly.
0 to 2,000 in a second, and you are lost. So have a plan in terms of that. You must have something in place. Then maybe have a saving, an account where both of you fund.
Yeah.
And this is just for like a retirement account.
All right.
It could also help.
All right.
Then know who your people are. Believe me, nobody out there gives 2 cents about your problems. When I lost my spouse, I got 1,000 calls on my phone. a couple of friends, they'll come together, send you financial assistance, just support, donations. Listen, all of this will last if you're lucky, you'll get 4 weeks out of that. And after that, it's radio silence. Clear radio silence.
Yes.
Nobody
Like everybody
calling
back to
you
your own tent.
back to your situation. And then the realization that I could not have my car breaking down and all I would do is get out of the car. And I'll be like, babe, the car is not working. I'm getting an Uber. And he'll be like, okay, fine. And he'll figure it out.
That was not there anymore, yes.
Yeah. The first time that I cried in the gas station because I had something went wrong. I was in the gas station. I was trying to get out. And I think I climbed on a curb. And it went in between my wheel, and the front wheel, and then I just couldn't get myself out.
Ouch.
So I picked up my phone.
Oh.
And then I realized there's no one on the other end to call.
Cool.
Then I sat there for a minute trying to
Wow.
see who do you call. And I realized the only person you could call was AAA. There's no husband there, no partner. So then you realize this is your new reality. You could go home and cry for another 3 days. It's not coming back.
Wow.
Then, so you have to have those kind of things in place, understanding. Learn little things, learn how to change a bulb. Learn how to, understand bills. How do you do this? Finances, just learn. Don't just be dependent on one person permanently. Even if you're a stay-at-home mom, you can do other things. You can handle the bills. You can do things to help in the house and know what is going on around you. Be aware. Don't just fall, because when things happen, and I believe in Nigeria, they might not have things in place like social security support and all this to help you. So where do you go?
Exactly.
When the in-laws have rights to come in Nigeria, I don't know for a fact, and come take over the home.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, it happens in some cultures, especially the cultures
So where do you go?
Yes,
Your husband has properties, you don't know where they are.
exactly.
It's only his brothers or sisters that do.
Exactly. I saw a lot of that in pensions too.
So now you are at their mercy. And that's when they remember, we never liked this Yoruba girl from day one.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, she's too Igbo, she's too Hausa. And then they start the drama. So have things in place as a man for what you want for your family. And as a woman, be useful in the relationship. Don't just lay back and just be uninterested in what's going on around you.
You went into documenting these experiences as a project that you took on personally. Take us through that and where you have gotten to with that project as of now.
So I decided to have a documentary titled Forever Altered.
Oh, okay.
Forever Altered encompasses all the things that happened in my entire life during this new reality. And you then talk about in-laws, friends, work-life balance, parenting, managing your finances. In every area, I decided to talk about each area of my life and how I was able to navigate through all this process. If you ask me now, I should have a part 2 of that documentary, because now I'm in another phase.
Okay.
Yeah,
The first 2 years were really low season. Oh my God, it was really low. So now I would say I'm at a point where I can now, like I said, go to the burial ground and take flowers and sit there every month. In the past, you could not even get me to look at his picture. If I saw his picture, that means that's another 2 weeks of crying, misery, and all that. So now I have everything in front of me. And also I found out that it was affecting the kids, and we never spoke about it. So I noticed that the kids would not sit in the main living room.
Okay.
Neither would I. So one day I called them and I said, oh yeah, let's watch a movie. And they're like, no, can we watch it in someone's room? And I said, why? Why can't we watch it in the living room? And then one of them said, I don't want to be staring at Dad knowing that he's somewhere in the ground.
Oh, wow.
And then I realized the trauma.
Wow.
And I said, would you like us to keep the pictures for a while and then bring it up? And all four of them said, yes, please, Mom.
Oh,
Remove them for
wow.
now. Let's just, and that's how we moved to that area of advancing in the grief stage.
Okay.
So those are the things that I documented, talking about every single thing. And then when you have all your kids crying at the same time, yet you are bleeding too, you're crying inside. You have to cry in the corner, and then when you see them, you're smiling and looking nice, but deep down you're hurting. So I just documented every step, one after the other, how to, and I kept saying, this is what I did, not necessarily what you have to do, but I feel like it's giving people a heads up of understanding that what if you found yourself in this position? You could then have a plan of your own on how you want to address it, but do not by any means discard the possibility of losing your partner. That's what that was all about. So I did the movie, and then I premiered it in the Silicon Valley Movie Festival in California. We had a lot of people in attendance, and it was nice meeting all the Nigerian superstars like RMD and all those ones and all that. So it was fun, and from there, I've been into many festivals, including the IBDDF, now taking place in Canada in May. And so one after the other, I started getting invitations because, you submit them for movie festivals, and they started accepting it. And I'm like, this is supposed to be an educational thing, but now people are looking at it like something they like to hear about. So I would never forget the first day they premiered it in Silicon Valley, and I walked in there because I didn't I never saw it on my own. I didn't know how I was going to react. So I walked in and sat in a corner, wanted to see how other people received it.
Yeah.
And within minutes, I started seeing people crying,
Oh, wow.
feeling bad.
People connected
And
to
they
it.
connected to it. And that made me so happy that my job was done. I was able to tell the story and give people a reason to begin to, look inwards and see where they were going wrong or what else they could do to improve their lives. Yeah.
And
so.
it's a lot because, it's such a deeply emotional experience. One would imagine that people would want to shy away from it. So how did that reaction change your view of this whole journey? Starting from, the release of the project and even up till now. What has really shifted in your reality?
What has shifted is I now understand that everybody runs away from talking about death. And now I am in tune with it. Because either you think about it or you do not think about it. You have a date. You're going.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Now, question is when.
When? That's the only question.
And this applies to your partner.
Yes. Yes.
So just close your eyes and say, I woke up today and my partner was no longer there. What do I have in place?
Okay.
Do I know how to take care of the kids? Can I change diapers? Can I even make a little meal for them? I'm talking about men.
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
Hello,
Same place.
men. Hello.
For women, what do you know? Do you even know how to navigate the probate? I went through a lot. And so I had to learn that you have to go through the probate. You have to bring the death certificate. That was another different thing in my life. I went through hell looking at your spouse's name on the document saying, this is to certify that they are gone. It was tough. But you have to navigate that. You have to understand how to go to the court, the banks who are going to try to make it look like he didn't have any accounts. And if you don't know the account number, they will not give it to you. Believe me, if he didn't tell me all these things and we had it in a file where he wrote down every single thing, there would have been no way to know, okay, he has $5 here, 5 naira there, 20 naira there. And that would have been the bank's gain.
Yes, exactly.
And so you have to know these things. I don't think your partner knowing what you have means they're going to knock you off. Or people think that they're going to kill me if he knows I have this much money.
Yes.
So the one thing that kept coming back to me that really got me really confused and irritated was that one question about people asking you all the time, are you ever going to get remarried?
Oh, wow.
Here you are grieving the loss of your spouse, and you're still trying to understand what life has just thrown on you. You don't even know what's happening. And the next thing they want to talk to you about, oh, do you plan on marrying again? Do you plan on dating? And I used to be so very offended, because can you just let me go through my process the way I want to go through it? I'm an adult. If I choose to marry, then it's on me. And if I choose not to, I'm
Also on you. Yeah.
it's very valid if I say, okay, I want to marry somebody else. Well, I mean, I love my husband to death, but of course, you said till death do us part.
Okay.
And so after that, whatever you do, it's on you. But it's not your business or your place as a family, as an in-law, as a friend, as a community to begin to second guess the woman,
Exactly.
because nobody second guesses the man.
Right.
Yeah.
Men are expected to have a new wife within 6 months. They're going to tell you, oh, things are hard for him. It's going to be difficult for him to navigate.
To look after
What
himself.
about a woman who's stuck with her kids and who has just lost her backbone? What's she supposed to do? And then the next thing is, if a woman gets married early, you are just going to be tagged an evil woman. And most likely you killed the man.
Sure.
Or you were stepping out on him before he died. And these are things that are very, very, they're just so large topics that if we go into that, we'll be here for the rest of the day.
Right.
So again, I went through all of that, each stage of it. I had some people that I had respect for, saying they were concerned. They'd seen me and they said, Tola, we know you're a gorgeous woman, and we know there'll be men out there who want to date you. And so we're concerned. Are you going to end up moving one of them into one of your husband's property? This was like 4 weeks after my husband died. And I thought it was the most mundane thing to say to me when I'm hurting. And
That's insensitive.
so I said, in one simple word, you must not know what I felt for my husband. But in the meantime, have you ever heard of African magic? Keep watching. That's what I said to them, because I was mad. And so this is an ongoing thing. And even now that I'm 4 years, why are you still there? It's 4 years now. Aren't you thinking of doing something with your life?
Really?
And I'll just be like, yeah, keep watching.
Hilarious.
Keep watching.
This is
So it's a lot. They expect too much from the woman. I don't think a woman getting married after losing her spouse is anything bad. Some people just don't know how to stay on their own. It's not easy. You have a partner. When you are in traffic, you're thinking about, oh, I'm going to tell him this, I'm going to do this, we're going to go here. And all of a sudden, you don't have
You
anybody.
don't have that anymore.
And then you have
Yes.
people coming over here and there trying to take you out, or we want to marry you. If you feel comfortable, go ahead. I don't see anything wrong in it. But personally, I'll do what works for me.
Exactly.
So right now, what's working for me is breathing and enjoying life in God's grace. And that's it. So I've put that question to rest for a while now. And I pray that the society is more, lenient and more kind to women, and understanding of the fact that if a man needs somebody, a woman needs somebody. So it's just a question of, can she handle herself or by herself?
How far are you taking this project? You have this documentary. Do you intend to continue? Are you moving on to other bigger projects? Is this something you intend to continue? Maybe talk to people, like seminars and stuff, and
Right.
just to create that awareness for people.
So it's been my dream all my life. It's always been my passion to go into drama and all this. Like I said earlier, when we were at Unilag, we always, Theater 15, we created a group called Theater 15.
Okay.
That was almost 35 odd years ago. And it
wow.
still exists till today
Oh.
on campus.
Amazing.
It's our group. There are 15 of us that started it. And what we
Okay.
used to do was act Moremi, Chinua Achebe's
Amazing.
plays, all kinds of stuff. And people would pay to
Soyinka.
come watch us. Wale Soyinka, Our Husband Has Gone Mad Again, and all those. We did
Right.
so many
Those
things.
great literary works.
So, and then the only way to act was to project on stage. You stand there, speak, and people hear and they enjoy it, and they come back again next time we have another production coming on. So I believe now that I'm getting to the older ages, I want to go back to my passion.
Okay.
As a woman, sometimes you suspend so many things to be a mother, to be a wife.
Yes.
My husband never got in the way of whatever I wanted. But I wanted to be in my kids' life to the point that I had to step my own little personal things to the side. So I'm going back in now because I have too much time on my hands. I didn't understand. I didn't even know I had that much time before. So now I
Wow.
realize I just go to work, I get home. All right, now what? Watch
Exactly.
TV? Why not write something? Why not start thinking of another project? So, and as I did this documentary, which no matter what, I just want you to know, it was just me speaking from my heart. I wanted to just tell my story and let people understand. People cried at the viewing because they said, you know, I never thought about this all my life, that I could think about stuff like this. Like, it's like an eye opener for us.
Yes.
And that's what the project is all about. I intend to take it wherever, talk to people, but I do not want to be tagged a widow because that's not my identity.
Okay.
I say that all
sure.
the time.
Yeah.
My identity is Tola, and one of the chapters in her life is she went through this experience.
Okay.
Now we're going to talk about the next experience.
Experience.
My next documentary could be, I'm talking about being a grandma, which I just became recently.
No,
And
congratulations.
it's fascinating to me that my own little baby is somebody's mom. So every step of the way I'm learning, and I want to talk to women that losing your husband doesn't mean that your whole life is going to come to an end. You have to stop living. No. Actually, you have to start living before your kids, because they have only one parent left. And if you do not show up for them, nobody else will.
Nobody else will.
So on the day of the wedding, when my daughter was getting married, I was like, how in the world am I walking this way in the altar, walking in the church by myself? Where is he? He's supposed to be next to me. He's supposed to be holding my hands. We're supposed to do this together. And then I watched my son walk with me, and we walked his sister down the aisle. So when you see things like that, and I sat on the chair in front as the parents of the bride, and there was a space. It was overwhelming. But I put my hand down and I imagined I was holding him. Like I felt like he was next to me. So again,
See?
it depends on how you want to view life. If you want to be miserable and stay on the floor, believe me, things are not going to get any better than somebody who got up and decided to do something for themselves. Then there was the other time when I went back to, I've always been a makeup person all my life. I'm always a dresser. I like to look good. So yeah, for the first 2 years, you would not even recognize me. I didn't look like myself. I didn't even remember that I was a person. And then all of a sudden I started picking it up. And then people started complaining. Look at her, making up, looking good, even though she lost her husband.
Imagine.
Grief is part of life. I don't care how you want to place it. It's going to happen one way or the other, either to your family, friends. We just pray that it doesn't come too close to home. That's the prayer. So watching my kids grow and become professionals, they all graduated, and I watch them go out there and be their own person, have their masters and do everything, and I'm watching them being able to independently take care of their lives. So I felt like that was an achievement. 4 years, your dad's not there, but I was able to support you to get to this point. And watch you buy your first car, your first job, get your own place, and you continue to thrive. Then I think about, for me, I decided to start taking care of myself in terms of, for the first time in so many years, I started going to the gym. I got a personal trainer.
Nice.
I started watching what I ate. And so now I have a commitment to stay alive for these kids, if not for anything else. No, I'm not going anywhere soon, please. They need me. They need me. I need them. So I watch what I eat. I watch where I go, how I operate. Everything is, and I love to travel. So recently I've been doing so much traveling And basically to just open my heart up into understanding that, hey, you're still here. You are alive. Don't give up. Don't just shrivel up into a corner because you lost your spouse.
For me, I think it's inspiring,
Yes.
very touching, and I hope that our viewers out there would find one or two learnings from this whole conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. What a great way, what a great story. We're in a happy place now. And I think that I've learned so much from these. I hope you do. You have also learned something. The conversation, let us hear what your opinion is. So we continue the conversation on the comment section. Subscribe, share, like, to support us and all. So from here, well, I would say a big thank you to you.
Thank
My name
you.
is Emmanuel.
And this is Lola. It's been a wonderful discussion. Thank you for watching and see you on the next one. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.